The newest addition to the Ultraman franchise has made its debut across Netflix screens worldwide, so let's talk about it. Hello everyone, it's thomasjujube, and before I give my thoughts on Ultraman Rising, be sure to let me know what you thought of the movie down in the comment section. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Also, some of you might be watching this and haven't seen the movie or don't usually watch Ultraman, so I am going to do a spoiler-free part in the beginning, and then I'll tell you when I get into spoilers. But I also do want to tell you straight up right now that you can totally watch this movie without seeing anything about Ultraman. Like, it is just a completely self-contained movie starring a new Ultraman character. It's not connected to anything else. But if you do get interested in Ultraman because of watching the movie, you know, here are some shows that I would recommend because I've seen them, and then you could go watch my videos on them after. Obviously, let's start with the animation. It is beautiful. Like, it's just an incredible movie to look at. I love, like, this new... for reference, I do watch, like, a lot of movies. Here's my letterbox if you're interested. I am kind of, like... I've seen a lot of these newer, like, new animation-style movies. But, like, this one might be my favorite of those new animated styles. Because it's just... Like, if you pause on a frame, like, you can see they've got, like, this kind of comic book texture on all the characters and the stuff. Like, they're not just straight 3D. I mean, they probably are, but there's like a unique texture and it looks really cool. And then as an Ultraman fan, it's really cool to see Ultraman as an alien with actual metallic skin, kind of like Shin Ultraman, but like a completely different style. Especially too, one thing that I noticed in like the first trailer is Ken's Ultraman has like animated eyes. Like, you can see the pupils move, and that's really cool. But I also like they didn't sacrifice like a moving mouth. Like, it still looks kind of like a guy in a suit, but there's a bit of humanity in there that you can't usually do. Also, like, Ken as a character, like the animation of him as a character is so realistic. There's a lot of shots where you can see he's like shaking his leg or his knee like up and down, and that blew my mind. Like, you don't really see that kind of like super hyper realistic motion in a lot of animated stuff. Like, that's just something people do. I know people that do that. I do that. So seeing like an animated character do that was like really fascinating. As for the actual story, I did love how unique it was for the Ultraman franchise, so I think it'll be pretty easy to enjoy if you haven't seen anything Ultraman, at least compared to the shows I've seen. Like, the world is so unique because the fence team is straight up the antagonists. And then the legacy storyline with Ken's dad and then Emmy and the themes of family are very distinct. Like, we just had an Ultraman father captain character, but it's very different from the way this movie approaches being an Ultraman father. And even the way the kaiju are treated is very different to like the modern stuff. Like, they're very pro kaiju in this movie. Not to say the other, like, even Blazar is not anti-kaiju, but like there's definitely like, this one doesn't really prioritize let's kill a kaiju, which is very fascinating. My biggest complaints are just kind of minor, and it's that, like, I feel like some of the backstories are a little too vague, but they're a little too important to the plot considering how vague they are. So I was kind of wondering if they'd get more explanation throughout the movie. I also do think the villain is just a touch weird. He is probably my least favorite part of the movie. I won't say much because I didn't even really know who the villain was. I avoided a lot of the trailers. All the other characters are excellent though. Ken is like easily the standout. Like, you can kind of predict his exact character arc from the first couple of scenes he has, which is a little weird, but like his actor, the way they animated him, there's so much charisma. I need to start dressing like him. It's so satisfying to watch his character arc unfold, and he's a badass. I think that's pretty cool. Emmy is adorable. I don't know if anyone watching me has kids, but like, Emmy's like the easy child character. Like, they'll attach to her. I think that's funny. The dad also, I wasn't expecting him to have like such a large role in the story. It goes for the entire movie. Like, there's so many pleasant little surprises that I didn't know were in it. I'm gonna stop here. I don't want to accidentally spoil anything else, so I'll just say, watch the movie if you're interested. It's on Netflix, and you won't regret it for sure. I mean, maybe you will. Spoiler time. Let me start with Ultra Dad, Ken's dad, because once again, like, the marketing mentioned that Ken's dad wasn't Ultraman, but I wasn't expecting, like, I don't think he's in the trailers, especially not as Ultraman. So when the movie opens and he's just Ultraman right there. I'm like, oh, okay, that's what we're doing. That's really cool. And like, I love that they designed him to look like Ultraman, the original Ultraman, but it's like a little stylized because of the animation. Like, I think he has the blue eyes, which original Ultraman doesn't have. That character design in this movie is very distinctly like looks like a man in a suit, but still alien, while Ken's Ultraman form is like inhuman. So this implies that like the Ultraman, at least in this universe, the Ultraman physique is based on the human physique, right? Because even when the dad gets a beard, now his Ultraman form has a beard. So like if Ken stops playing baseball and gets fat, does the Ultraman form get fat? Because I assume the abs are there because he's a sports player. Like he probably has abs. Maybe they even showed it. I don't know. I think it's kind of funny that the two Netflix exclusive Ultraman animated projects follow the son of an iteration of the original Ultraman design. Ultra Dad also sets up like two really fun aspects of the movie that I liked. All the references are just, it's like references like every frame, which is really cool. Like the dad glasses are like halfway through the movie, you're like, wait, those are just Ultra 7's glasses. His license plate said like, I think it said like M87 or like one of the planets, and then it also said U7 because Ultra 7. A Bandai logo is in there. Actually, sidetrack. So the Bandai logo is there, and there's two Abarenos in Ken's room, which obviously means that Bandai created Sentai exists in this world. But Ultraman also exists as a franchise, or like as a franchise character. So like, does that mean that Bandai is making Ultraman toys? Are there Ultraman shows? Like, is this one Ultraman is there that like the original show, I guess, exists in this universe as reality, and then they did Ultra 7? Like I don't. It does open a few questions. Also, does Kamen Rider exist? Because if there's Sentai, there's probably Kamen Rider, right? So did Kamen Rider cross over with Ultraman in that one thing? This is my biggest question, I think, of the movie. Since Ultraman exists as a franchise, and we have Sentai, but there's probably Kamen Rider, like, what does Ultraman have the rest of its shows? Or is it just based off the original guy that actually exists? Obviously, all the kaiju are, like, based on older Ultra, or not all of them. I think Gigantron is new, but Gomora is mentioned, Neranga is there. The defense team is not the original uniform. I forget, but like it is visually you look at that and you're like, oh, that's something like from one of the shows. And I think it's like two random ones like combined, but you can definitely tell it's an attack team uniform. And then there's tons of other things I definitely didn't notice, but like they're probably in there, so that's pretty cool. I mean, also like the animation. I forgot to say this in the animation part, but like like when Ken is like angry and they have like the spiral effects in the back, like the original titles, that was really cool. I really like that stuff. Just adds like how beautiful the animation in this movie is. And then the other thing I mentioned, Ultraman just exists as like a public figure. There's merch of him. One of the daughter characters just has an Ultraman mask. Ken has a figure of Ultraman that like he holds when he's talking about Ultraman. And like, I think that's really like fun. Like, it's interesting to have like Ultraman exists in this world, but there's still Ultraman merch. Like, he's still that kind of like a character. So it kind of establishes this world's tone in regards to these like superhero antics, I guess, for lack of a better word. Like the old woman like chastising Ultraman, which I think is also a reference, but I don't know what it is. And then the dad has like a whole little conversation to Ken about how the color timer works, and that part too like kind of blew my mind, because we never really get like two Ultramen talking about the logistics of being an Ultraman. I mean, not to what I've seen. This is just straight up, he's like, oh yeah, here's something you should know about being Ultraman. Like, I thought that was really cool. He also explains to Ken at one point that like as Ultraman, their job isn't just beating up kaiju, but like protecting everyone, including the kaiju. And I thought that was quite fascinating too, because usually it is like, I mean, there's Ultramen that don't just always kill kaiju, but I thought it was pretty cool that in this specific movie, like, they are like, you don't really want to kill them unless you have to. And I thought it was interesting, but that one element is kind of what makes that where the one problem I have about the movie feeling too vague happens, and it's basically like the beginning fight with Gigantron. First of all, what kind of name is Gigantron for like a flying kaiju? In that first fight, it kind of seemed like they were setting up a tragic event with the dad dying as Ultraman, and then that's why Ken moves to America with his mother, and I thought then the movie would build off that plot, but no, the dad lives, and then he kept being Ultraman for the 20 years afterwards, but then Gigantron shows up later, and everyone's like, it's Gigantron! So, like, what happened in that fight? We don't see what happened. Did he just beat Gigantron and he flew away? And then, but Ken and his mom were like, oh, we're out of here. Like, why? What was so horrible about that fight? And, like, what's so bad about Gigantron if you manage to defeat it? Like, it doesn't seem like... It seems like you've done it before. I mean, Ken hasn't done it, but it's possible. Another thing I was wondering, too, are, like, kind of the logistics of Ken being Ultraman. Just because, like... I can get that, like, I guess Ken's dad... Actually, I think the director confirmed that the dad is from the Land of Light, so he is straight up an Ultraman. So then it makes sense if he had a kid, he could also be Ultraman. So it's a little kind of unclear what the whole thing with him coming to Japan to take over as Ultraman is like. Because they say, like, Ultraman was protecting Japan for years, then he took a break for a few months, and now Ken is the new Ultraman. So I think the implication is, like, the dad just got hurt or injured, can't do it anymore. But they don't really address that. And the mom's death is very vague, too. Like, I get seems like they're saving that plot for a sequel. But, like, it's kind of weird how they're, like, they're trying to say, like, oh, maybe she's disappeared and they were looking for her. But, like, so what happened? Did she just leave the apartment and get sent to space or whatever? And then they just thought she died because she didn't come back or whatever. Because it seems like Ken left her before she died. So I guess she could have just disappeared. I don't know. It's very weird. Also, another thing, too, that we learned from online is apparently she founded the KDF. Now, this isn't really a problem, but it is just like... So apparently, there's all this other backstory. The mom founded the KDF. I think with the dad or something like that, and then Ultraman worked with the KDF as Ultraman. I guess at some point in this universe it was just like normal attack team Ultraman, with a guy being like, oh, guys, explosion, blah, and then Ultraman appears out of nowhere. I wonder what happened. I guess it's implied that just happened in this universe, but none of that's said in the movie. It's never said that she was, like, running the KDF or anything like that. And again, it's not something that the movie needs, but it's something that I'm like, that sounds like something you want to include. Especially, too, because I feel like it adds, like, this whole extra, like, layer to the movie where it's like, it is, like, what if we took one of these Ultraman shows that airs now and we moved forward, like, 20 years... and the main character has a kid now and he's not active as Ultraman. Like, that's really interesting. And the movie does do that, I guess. It's just like, it kind of would have been nice to be like a little more explicit with that. I'll also take this moment to explicitly plug my merch now. Did you know I have merch now? There's been links in all of my videos for like a month now. That's available on my fourth wall page. There's a hoodie as well and another t-shirt design. Thank you to my friend Gia Gilly for designing those. I love these. I think they're pretty cool, and if you buy a couple, then you'll not only get a couple of what I think are cool merchandise, but you'll also be supporting me in the channel. And yeah. Okay, the bad guy, which I said was my least favorite part of the film, Dr. Onda. Now, he's not bad. I say he's my least favorite part, but I say that because it's like there's like things that I think are weird about him. But he is, like, a perfectly, honestly, a great villain, too. Like, the concept, first of all, the concept of the Ultraman attack team just straight up being the bad guys is awesome. Like, the final battle of the movie is Ultraman working together with two kaiju, just normal kaiju, to defeat an attack team kaiju fighter, which is not being mind-controlled. The bad guy isn't, like, corrupt in a way. he's wearing the attack team suit. Like, the main guy's wearing the thing that the main heroes usually wear in the shows. I think that's crazy awesome. Also, that mecha design is pretty sick. Like, it's kind of ridiculous, but it's also pretty awesome. I do quite like it. So, like, his motive makes sense. Like, Ultraman fails to defeat a kaiju, and then it kills his family. So, of course, like, he wants to kill Ultraman and the kaiju, or all the kaiju. It's just weird to me because that fight was so vague, and we don't know what Ultraman did to defeat Gigantron. It doesn't feel as compelling as it should be, because I'm like obviously Ultraman, he didn't save his family. Like, that makes sense. But it's like, if we see like a scene of him seeing Ultraman trying to protect Gigantron or something like that, and that kills the family, then it's like, yeah, I mean, it makes sense you would get angry at Ultraman. But if it's him just trying to kill a kaiju, and then his family gets caught in the crosshair, like, sure, you would hate the kaiju, but then it's like, Ultraman was trying his best. I also feel like he's, like, maybe too good, like, as a dude, because, like, he's, like, that whole scene with the one captain guy, he's like, do you have a family? And I thought, like, is he gonna fucking kill this guy's family? And he's like, no. He's like, you should go home and be with your family. And then in, like, the final battle, he's like, everyone evacuate. I'm just going to kill myself to try to kill Ultraman. And it's like this interesting juxtaposition where I'm like, he's trying to kill Ultraman and Emmy, so he's like bad, obviously, but like he's looking out for his employees. He's like, he's not crazy, he's just like really angry. But then in the last like 5 seconds, he's like, I'm gonna blow up everyone with this bomb. And I'm like, why did we do that? Like, why not just have them defeat? Because too, they had this moment where like Ken tries to stop the bomb, and he's like it's this big powerful moment, and he just gets a broken arm. Like, I'm like, maybe we didn't, like, we made the character, the villain, just like have this weird sudden I'll kill everyone motivation, and then we try to do a sacrifice moment with Ken, but nothing comes of it. I mean, it shows how much he's grown as a character. I just feel like maybe if you just throws him into space or something like that, and he's just caught in the explosion, because I'm also left wondering, like, how did he survive that? Like, it was like there's a shield, a bomb that would have blown everything in the vicinity. He tanked that whole thing. That's crazy. Like, how did you do that? I guess maybe I should start playing baseball. My other big nitpick, I'm not the biggest fan of like the montage scene in the middle. I know the whole idea is like Ken starts connecting with Emmy, and that's what causes him to become more of a team player on the Giants. But I would have liked like one scene maybe of Ken starting to drain the teammates after training Emmy, and then you start montaging through. Because right now it's like it hits a montage. I'm like, oh, this is like important character stuff that's just gonna be a montage, I guess. Also, just having him play on the Giants is an incredible gag. Because there's like, there's a couple lines of there's one line of dialogue where the coach is like, you don't know anything about being a giant, and it smash cuts to Ultraman fighting, and I'm like, that's fantastic. That's really funny. like my couple of little nitpicks are just a couple of little nitpicks. I really loved watching the film. Like, you can really tell how much care is put into everything, and like these issues are not problems with the storytelling too. Like, it successfully tells its story very well, and that's definitely my favorite part as well too. Like, the family like storyline here is so beautiful, and it's crazy how like every part of this movie kind of plays into that. So we obviously got Ultra Dad and Ken and Emmy, and then we have Emmy and Gigantron. Then we have Ami and her family. Dr. Onda is like, Captain, do you have a family? Yes, I do. I wonder if this movie is about family. Ken and his mom, she dies, and it's about like moving on from a family member too, and reconnecting with a family member you've grown estranged with. Like, there's a lot of, it's not just like this movie's about family. Like, there's a lot of things it does with family, which is great. Even even adoptive families, I guess, with Ken and Emmy, and even I don't know, maybe this was just me, but Mina the robot, which was one of the best characters in the movie, by the way. She is actually, let's just take a moment to acknowledge that Mina was really great. I liked Mina's character. To me, it kind of felt like they were trying to do a thing with like Mina and Ken, or like both Emmy's mother or Emmy's parents. I guess they did straight up acknowledge Ken as Emmy's mother at one point. So there's this really interesting parallel with Dr. Onda losing his family, and he just becomes bitter and tries to kill Ultraman because of that, while Ken loses his mother, and he also becomes bitter, but then circles back around to being a good person because of family with Emmy. So I mean Dr. Onda had Emmy, so it's like if he wasn't such a bitch, he could have Emmy could have helped him become a better person, I guess, is what the movie is kind of saying. Has anyone seen the Emmy toys, like the vinyl? Like, she always looks like she's like dead inside. It's really funny. One part that was especially impactful to me, or like moments, is when Ultra Dad pulls out a little stuffy, and his name is Bunny, and he plays a little song to put Emmy to sleep, and then later Emmy risks her life to go save Bunny, and then when Mina dies, she sings the same song that Bunny played. You probably I've shown him in a few videos, but I have a bunny. His name is Bunny. Like, so when they're like, here's Bunny, his name's Bunny, I was like, wait, you can't do that. I have copyright over the name Bunny. So and Bunny, I don't think I've said this in the video, but my bunny also used to play music. He doesn't do that anymore because he's old. But I thought it was really cute to have a bunny in the Ultraman movie that played music, and he was a little bit important and stuff. So that made like that like a little more special to me. Oh, he's just gonna fall. He can just sit. Wait, you can sit here. That's the great thing about this movie. If you're an Ultraman fan, you get like awesome Ultraman stuff. If you're not Ultraman, you get this wonderful family movie with a bunch of messages and stuff. Whether or not you're a kid, or if you're a kid, you get cool Ultraman stuff too. So I guess there's that. And if you're a parent, blah blah blah. I feel like there's a lot that like I haven't touched on, because I don't know. I feel like there's a lot in this movie. I don't want to drag this review out because I'm a little late talking about it. What can I say? It is an incredibly made movie, a beautifully made movie. Probably one of my favorite movies of the year. At least for, I mean, what are we, 6 months in? So I mean, it's definitely probably one of my favorite movies right now of the year. So me and Bunny are left with 2 questions after seeing the movie. 1, where's our sequel? Or sequels, plural, because apparently they want to make a multiple, which is great. Give them all the sequels they want. And then 2, when is Ultra Dad and Ultraman Rising appearing in Ultra Galaxy Fight? Because that's just what they do, right? They just bring in random characters. They'll give them 2 suits. They'll give them like unique names, not just Ultra Dad and Rising. Or you could just call him Rising. I wouldn't be opposed to his actual Ultraman name being Rising. Once again, be sure to let me know what you thought of the movie down in the comment section. Check out my Patreon for the full extended footage of this, where I go on too many rants probably. Check out the merch if you want merch down in the description, and check out my other Ultraman videos. There's a lot of stuff to check out. Just scroll down there, and I hope to see you next time.